Hello everyone. This video is about chapter 26, lesson 2, coordinate evolution and diversity in pages 757 to 760. Our objectives. At the end of this discussion, we are going to describe the most ancient chordates and interpret the cladogram of chordates. So where did chordates come from and what are chordates? At first glance, fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals appear to be very different, yet all are members of the phylum in which we ourselves are classified in phylum or underphylum Chordata. So what are the most ancient chordates? The embryological studies suggest that most ancient chordates were related to the ancestors of echinoderms. So again, they are related to the ancestors of echinoderms. So what are these echinoderms? We're going to mention that later. So the earliest chordates, the Cambrian fossil deposits include some early chordate fossils such as Pikaia, which is shown in the figure here. The scientists first thought it was a worm because it looks like a worm, but then determined that it had a notochord and paired muscles arranged in a series like those of simple modern chordates. So what are notochords? They are long supporting rod that runs through a chordate's body just below the nerve cord. So somewhat they are like backbones. Okay. In 1999, fossil beds from later in the Cambrian period yielded specimens of Mylocon the earliest known vertebrate. These fossils show muscles arranged in a series, traces of fins, sets of feathery gills, a head with paired sense organs, and a skull and skeletal structures like made of a cartilage. So cartilage is a strong connective tissue that is softer and more flexible than bone. It supports all or parts of a vertebrate's body. So about 90% or 96% of all modern chordate species are vertebrates, with fishes making up the large group. Today, chordate species are only a small fraction of the total number of chordates that have existed over time. The modern chordates consist of six groups: the non-vertebrate chordates and the five groups of vertebrates: fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So again, you might mention what is really the difference between non-vertebrates and vertebrates. So basically with vertebrates, they have backbone, but with non-vertebrate chordates, they have just these notochords. Okay. So what can we learn by studying the cladogram of chordates? The cladogram of chordates presents current hypotheses about relationships among chordates groups. It also shows at which points important vertebrate features such as jaws and limbs have evolved. So, and the figure here, this one shows a cladogram. So the cladogram of chordates represents or presents a current hypothesis about the evolutionary relationships among chordate groups. So you will find here at the bottom at the bottommost you have the invertebrate ancestors. Then the next point, the vertebrae have evolved. Then going, just follow my pointer. Then moving on, the ones with jaws and paired appendages have evolved until such time that mammals, of course, as humans and other mammals, dolphins and the like, have evolved. The circles represent the appearance of a certain adaptive features. If you're going to look at here, there are different colors of circles. Each time a new body plan adaptation evolved, a major adaptive radiation has occurred. So from the invertebrate ancestor, just follow the pointer, that we have the earliest invertebrate ancestors are the tourniquets and lancelets. We're going to mention that further later. Then followed the vertebrae, which is the newly adaptive feature has evolved, which is in blue point. Then we have the purple one, which has the jaws and paired appendages. Then the one with true bones, so the fish came out with the lungs, then with forelimbs, then with amniotic eggs, and then the endothermy. These terms, girls, amniotic eggs and endothermy, will be further discussed when you reach grade 11. So let's have now the non-vertebrate chordates. So as what I've said, these are the earliest invertebrate ancestors. So fossil evidence suggests that the ancestors of living non-vertebrate chordates diverged from the ancestors of vertebrates more than 550 million years ago, and these two chordate groups lack backbones. If we're going to look at it, we have the tunicates and the lancelets. They are like the tunicates are like sponges, and then we have here the lancelets. They look like somewhat fishes. So the adult tunicates, which is under the subphylum Orochordata, look more like sponges than us. They have neither a notochord nor a tail, but their larval forms have all the key chordate characteristics. That is why, though as they have grown into adults, they look like sponges, but during their larval stage, they have these chordate characteristics. That is why still they are under the chordate structure or the chordate phylum or group. So for example, the small fish like lancelets under the subphylum Cephalochordata live on the sandy ocean bottom. So here comes now the jawless fishes. The earliest fish appeared in the fossil record about 510 million years ago. They had no true jaws or teeth, and their skeletons were made of cartilage. Some armored jawless fishes, such as those shown in the figure, became extinct about 360 million years ago. So if you're going to look at their figure there, they are not common. They are not familiar, or some of them may have the same features as that of the fish and sharks, and some maybe just like the trilobite. It looks also like an insect somewhat, but they live in the oceans. So to continue, the two other ancient clades of jawless fishes gave rise to the two clades of modern jawless fishes, which are the lampreys and hagfishes, which you can see in the picture. Lampreys and hagfishes both lack vertebrae and have notochords as adults. Lampreys are filter feeders as larvae and parasites as adults. Hagfishes have a pinkish gray, worm-like bodies, secrete incredible amounts of slime, and tie themselves into knots. So you will see here the hagfish and the lampreys in the picture. Now let's move on to the sharks and their relatives. So girls, I am just going through the cladogram if you have noticed. So from the ancestors, then moving on into the different groups that have evolved. Let's move on now to sharks and their relatives. So everyone is familiar with sharks. Other ancient fishes evolved a revolutionary feeding adaptation, which are the jaws. You all know that the sharks have strong jaws. So jaws make it possible to bite and chew plants and other animals. The Dunkleosteus, an ancient fish, could eat just about anything. So in the picture is just an example of a shark, which everyone is already familiar with. Early fishes also evolved paired pectoral and pelvic fins. Paired fins offered more control of body movement, while tail fins and powerful muscles gave greater thrust. The evolution of paired fins and tail fins launched the adapted radiation of the class Chondrichthyes, the sharks, rays, and skates. The Greek word chondrus means cartilage, the tissue that makes up the skeletons of these cartilaginous fishes. So we have here the bony fishes. Another bone or another group of ancient fish evolved skeletons made of true bones this time, launching the radiation of the class Osteichthyes, the the bony fishes. So the Osteichthyes, which is known as bony fish, and the examples of these are the trout, carp, golden fish, and tuna. So here at the bottom left, you have the tuna, bottom right, the golden fish, then the upper left, you have the carp, the trout, and then the upper right is the carp. Now the ray-finned fishes. Ray-finned fishes are those or are under the bony fishes. So most living bony fishes belong to a huge group called ray-finned fish. Ray-finned fishes are aquatic vertebrates with skeletons of true bone. Most have pair fins, scaled, and gills. So most fishes you are familiar with, such as eels, goldfish, and catfish, are ray-finned fishes. So in the picture you have there the catfish at the bottom right, and we have the eels on the upper right or on top of it. So another group rather of bony fishes are the lobe-finned fishes that evolved from fleshy fins supported by larger, more substantial bones. The modern fishes that are descendants of ancient lobe fishes include lungfishes and silicons. If you're going to look at the picture or the cladogram with the ones which are in the orange lines, so the ones with the adaptive feature, which is the lungs, you have there the lungfishes that have evolved, and before that are the silicons. So that's it for this lesson. We will end only up to here. We will continue with the next group on the following or on the next video. So let us now summarize the lesson up to bony fishes. So the origins of the chordates. Embryological studies suggest that most ancient chordates were related to the ancestors of echinoderms. Fossils of the earliest chordates during the Cambrian period show muscles arranged in a series, traces of fins, sets of feathery gills, a head with paired sense organs, and a skull and skeletal structures likely made of cartilage, a strong connective tissue that is softer and more flexible than bone. Cartilage supports all or part of a vertebrate's body. Modern chordates are very diverse, consisting of 6 groups: the non-vertebrate chordates and the 5 groups of vertebrates, the fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. The cladogram of chordates presents current hypotheses about relationships among chordate groups. These major groups are the non-vertebrate chordates, which are the tunicates and the lancelets, which lack backbones; the jawless fishes, which are the lampreys and hagfishes that lack vertebrae and have notochords as adults; the sharks and their relatives, they have jaws and skeletons made of cartilage; and of course the bony fishes. These animals have skeletons made of true bone. Most modern bony fishes are ray-finned fishes, one of group of ancient lobe-finned fishes evolved into the ancestors of tetrapods, which are four-limbed vertebrates. So that's it, girls. Let's now move on to the lesson check questions. Name the group of animals whose ancestors were related to the earliest chordates. What do you think they are? So, of course, they belong to the echinoderms. Number two question. What two aspects of evolutionary history does the cladogram of chordates show? So it shows the current hypothesis about relationships among chordate groups and what it would and what which or at what which points important vertebrate features have evolved. So that's it, girls, for this lesson. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.